everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Cassidy Quintana. I'm a marketing coordinator here at Travel Media Group, and I'm so excited to present part 4 of our social success series, Analyzing Your Hotel's 2024 Social Strategy for a Stronger 2025. If you can believe it, we're almost to the next year. I know I can't, but now is the time that we've got to start planning our strategy for next year. But before we can do all of that, we've got to go back to this past year, see what worked, see what didn't, and see how we can improve for next year. Before I jump into all this great information, I do want to cover a couple of things. The best way to digest all of this information is make sure you can see myself as well as the slides. If you can't see either one of those, there are some icons at the bottom of this dashboard that you can mess around with. So just make sure you can see everything. Secondly, there's going to be a lot of good information, so feel free to take screenshots. If you don't want to do that, we are going to send a recording to you tomorrow, so you can send that to whoever you want to go back and get all the information that you want. So without further ado, I do want to jump in. Obviously, this is part 4, so I want to cover the first 3 parts to this series. Part 1 was all about setting guest expectations using social media. So a lot of good ideas and insights on how we can use these platforms to talk about our pool hours, our amenities, our breakfast hours, so that guests know what to expect before they even step foot on our property. Part 2 was all about growing your hotel social media following. And the gist of this is how to build a good, engaged, loyal following organically. So without using paid ads, without buying followers, how can we build a following that is loyal to our page and that engages with our content? Part 3 was all about social video content creation for hotels. So taking this iPhone in your pocket, going around the property, capturing simple videos that can turn into great social media content. So all of these things, these are new ideas that we've implemented into our strategy for 2024. We're at the end of the year. We got to go back and see how all of that did. So that takes us to our topic today, which is doing a social media audit. And what does that include? Well, we're going to do an annual review of our strategy, learn from those successes and failures, and then use all the information we've gotten to set goals for 2025. So I want to create a visual for you. Let's imagine a family that is road tripping from Canada to Florida. That's a long journey. Well, social media audit is a lot of work. It's a lot of steps before we can get to our end goal of planning for 2025. So I want you to picture this family, and they've got a lot of stops they've got to make on the way down to Florida. So compare this exactly to your social media. The first stop that this family is going to make is probably at the border. You know, they're going to have to hand over their passports. The officer is going to ask them a ton of questions. They've got to do a whole checklist of things before they can even enter the country. So comparing this to our social media, there's a checklist of things we got to do before we can just jump right into everything. So first, social media accounts. Where are we active on? What platforms do we have profiles on? How many followers do we have across all of these platforms? What's our posting cadence? Are we posting twice a week, twice a month? Making sure our information is updated. So your phone numbers, your address, and making sure you also have the correct links on your profiles. This is all stuff that you need to make sure that is accurate, that is up to date before we can jump into analytics. So in analytics, I'm comparing this to a gas station. You know, we've got this family on a road trip. Somebody's already hungry. Someone already has to use the bathroom, and we might as well get gas while we're there, right? There's a lot of different steps we've got to take. There's a lot of different things we can do at a gas station. That's going to help our journey be even better to our destination. So comparing this to social media analytics, it's the same thing. There's a lot of different things we can do. There's a lot of things we can look at. That's just going to help us see the bigger picture for our social media. So before we jump into analytics, I do want to explain the difference between social reach and social impressions. These are two different things. And to be honest, when I started in social media, I thought they were the same exact thing, but they're not. Social reach, I want you to think exposure, the total number of users that saw your content, versus impressions, which is display, the total number of times that it was displayed on the feed. So say we posted something, 50 people saw our post, but our impressions was 200. That just means that 50 individual users saw the content, but it was displayed 200 times. So one user could see our piece of content 4 different times, which is why impressions, if not always, is going to be higher than reach. So with that in mind, I want to jump into engagement rate. When you look at your social media analytics, it's usually just going to give you a percentage. It's not going to tell you exactly where they got that from. So I do want to explain that. Engagement rate is the total interactions divided by total impressions times 100. So say we posted a photo of our pool. It got 100 impressions, 10 interactions. Take to 10 divided by 100 times it by 100. Our engagement rate is going to be 10%. So I've pulled this report here from TMG OneView. This is what our hotel partners will see when they want to look at their social media analytics. And this hotel partner has Facebook and Instagram. So I've pulled this report for the month of October. When we go back to look at our content, we want to see which posts were getting the most impressions, which posts were getting the most brand awareness, and which ones weren't. We take note of, okay, on October 24th and 28th, what content were we posting? Because whatever that was, it worked. Let's do that again. What did we post on October 2nd? Obviously, that didn't work, so we can scratch that idea and don't do it in 2025. All this is important to go back and look at because oftentimes social media is just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what will stick. So we need to take into account, well, what stuck and what didn't, and keep that in mind when we're planning our strategy for 2025. Next is follower count. Same thing as you're looking at your posts that got a lot of impressions. What posts drove us to get a lot of followers? Because we want to go back and we want to do something similar in 2025 so that hopefully we can get more followers in the same way. Click-through rate is similar to engagement rate, and that is going to show you a percentage. The math equation is the exact same. Clicks divided by the impressions times 100. Same example, if you got 10 clicks with 100 impressions, your click-through rate is going to be 10%. And why is click-through rate important? Well, when we think about social media funnel, we automatically think about a marketing funnel, which they are two very different things. When we think about a marketing funnel, the bottom is always going to be conversion, right? We want to get sales, we want to get bookings, we want to increase revenue. Social media funnel, the end result, the end goal is not exactly that. When we think about a social media funnel, at the top, we have impressions, right? Brand awareness, we want people to see our name, we want people to know who we are. Then from there, we want them to click on our content. So whether that's liking the post, commenting, clicking on our profile, clicking the link that we put in the caption, then next would be conversion. And with social media, conversion can look a lot of different ways. A lot of the times when we post, we have a different goal or different result that we want to see from that post. So that could be a follow, a certain amount of likes, a certain amount of shares, whatever the goal is. It could even be bookings. On Facebook and LinkedIn, you can put a link directly in the caption. So if bookings from that link is the goal, that's a conversion. But at the bottom of a social media funnel is loyalty. We want loyal guests, right? If you're picturing this family traveling down to Florida and they stay at this hotel for a few nights and they never come back and they don't engage with our social media, we didn't reach the bottom of our social media funnel. They converted in one way or another by staying with us, but the end result is we're trying to build loyal following. We want people to come back to our property every time they're in our city. We want them to share our content so that their friends and family come and stay with us, etc. So I just want to paint that visual that the social media funnel is a little different than the marketing funnel, because a lot of the times we hear, what is the ROI of social media? I'm not seeing any results. We're not getting any direct bookings. Well, social media doesn't always serve that purpose, especially in hospitality. A lot of the times we're just trying to build a loyal following with loyal guests. So next, I pulled this screenshot as well from one of our hotel partners that was in our OneView platform. Our OneView platform is a great tool that puts everything in one place. When you do a social media audit, there's a lot of things you've got to do, especially if you're active on 3-4 different platforms. You're going to have to go in each individual platform and pull all your analytics for the entire year and then put them together, right? But OneView will bring all of your profiles into one place and give you all this information right away for whatever date range you selected. The number of posts, your ad spend, your engagement, your impressions, your reach. You can separate it by platform, or you can bring them all together in one place. So it's just a great tool to have, and it just makes your life so much easier. It makes the audit process much quicker as well. The next question I always hear is, what's the point of an annual review? You know, we're just on social media because we want to check a box. We just want to be active. We just don't really care. Well, that's good if that's what you want to do and you're okay with that. But for the most part, people are on social media because they want to see results, because they have a goal behind everything they're posting. So I've pulled one of our hotel partners here as well. They're active on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I've pulled 4 different categories here that we're going to look at. And these numbers are all over the place, right? But I don't want you to worry when you see something like this, because we know that social media is different on every single platform. When I think about the content and the things I want to see on Facebook, it's very different than the content I want to see on TikTok, right? We use these platforms for different things, which makes sense that when we go back, certain platforms, we perform better in certain areas than others. So for example, Facebook did really good on click-through rate. And then that makes sense because we can put links in the caption. People can directly click those. That's why Facebook is going to be higher, because on the other side, Instagram and TikTok, You have to direct them to your bio. It's just a couple more steps for them to get to a link. On the flip side, video engagement. We know TikTok to be video first, right? That's what people go on TikTok for, is to mindlessly scroll through videos. So it makes sense that our video engagement performed much better than Instagram and Facebook. Same with influencer partnerships. We know that to be really popular on Instagram. There's a lot of different types of content they can post on there. So don't worry when you're seeing different growth in different areas. Just note these and know that for 2025, hey, we know that Facebook's going to perform really well here. Let's push ahead there. We know TikTok doesn't do so good on this, so let's just not even worry about it and play to their strengths. Branding tune-up. Branding is possibly one of the most important things on social media. I pulled this Courtyard Marriott Springfield Instagram, and on first look, it looks great, right? There's a lot of diverse content. It's stuff I'd want to engage with, stuff I'd want to read and look at. But when I look at it deeper and I'm thinking about, do I want to stay at this property? I notice that there's no address, there's no phone number, and there's no link. Well, I'm going to have to go to Google and I'm going to have to search it. And how am I going to know if that's the exact Courtyard Marriott Springfield I was just looking on Instagram, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, let me go look on Facebook to see if they have a Facebook page. Well, when I search Courtyard Marriott Springfield, 5 different pages come up. Some of them with the same header photo, some with the same profile, just different colors. But they all have the same name. How am I supposed to know which page goes with that Instagram, right? Well, we don't, which is why branding is so important, because we want people to be able to go from our Facebook to our Instagram, to our LinkedIn, to our TikTok, and be sure 100% that this is the exact page they're looking at. So make sure when you're planning for 2025, your branding across all these platforms is the same. Include your address, your website, and your phone number. Next is demographic diner. Just like we know platforms to have their own strengths and weaknesses, it's the same for demographics. TikTok really blew up during COVID, during 2020, and we know that a lot of their users are young. 55% of their users are under the age of 30. On the other side, we know that Facebook has now become the least popular platform for Gen Z and millennials. So understanding that the content you may post on TikTok probably won't work on Facebook simply because it's a different demographic, which is totally okay too. But it's important to go in and make sure that you're looking at that, because these are just general stats. It may be completely different for your property, but understanding that, hey, we have a really young audience on TikTok, we can post more trendy things. Whereas on Facebook, if we posted that content, you probably wouldn't know what we're talking about. So just make sure that you look at your demographics and play to their interests, play to what resonates with them as well with your content. Next is competitors. I want you to visualize your competitors next door, down the street, in your city. If I were to ask you what they're doing on social media, what is their strategy, would you have an answer for that? And if the answer is no, then I've got a checklist for you to run through to make sure that you know exactly what your competitors are doing. Because often your competitors may be doing more than you on social media and you don't realize it. And then you're sitting there wondering, well, why do they have so many bookings and we don't? Okay, so I want you to picture your competitors, search them on social media. Are they even on social media? And if they are we following them? How many times are they posting versus how many times we're posting? What does their engagement look like? Do they get comments? Do they get likes? What kind of content are they posting? Are they posting videos, images, graphics, stories? And are they partnering with any influencers or local businesses? The most important thing about looking at your competitors is you can see, hey, we've got a leg up on them here. Let's capitalize. Let's keep pushing there. Hey, they're doing influencer partnerships and we're not. Maybe we should look into that. It's really important to know what your competitors are doing so that you can either stay even with them or excel. But you never want to be behind your competitors on social media. Next is content. Similar to how we're looking back at our engagement rate, you'll probably pull your best performing posts and you'll take a look at it and be like, wow, this was really great content. This is great stuff that you can reuse. Social media is stuff that you can reuse the next year and no one will know. I don't even remember what I posted on social media last year, right? Your guests aren't either. I'm not saying post the exact same photo and caption, but you could post a similar photo as these dogs, just maybe in a different spot. You could post your breakfast restaurant just from a different angle, a different caption. But the one way that you can really take your top performing posts and take it to the next level is social video. All of those images could easily be turned into social video. You could take this photo of dogs, take some clips of a couple of dogs running around your property having a good time. This fall vacation guide, go to those places. Just take some videos, splice them together. Your restaurant, just go in and take some videos of your food. This New Year, New Deal graphic, you can easily add some motion to turn that into a good video. So, You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take what performed well and just take it up a notch with social video. So we've covered a lot of stuff we need to review from 2024, right? Now we've got all that information. Well, why are we even looking at 2025? I haven't even made it through the holidays. I can't think about next year. That's too much. I don't want to think about social media right now. Well, I guarantee a lot of you have had budget meetings for your property, right? You're thinking about upgrades you're going to make around the property next year, your business goals. Social media belongs in that conversation. It directly relates to your business objectives. So for example, if we have a social media goal of boosting brand awareness, we want that directly to relate to increased direct bookings. The more people know about us, the more direct bookings we're going to get. Everything you post on social media should have a goal that directly relates to your business objectives. So now you're going to ask me, well, how do I come up with these goals, right? Personally, I love this SMART goals checklist. It makes it super easy and simple to make sure that my goal is ready to go. So we've taken this one, for example, increase Facebook followers by 25% by July 2025. Well, how did we get there? With our SMART goals checklist, S stands for specific. This is as specific as we can get. Increase Facebook followers by 25%. M is for measurable. We want to make sure it's something we can go back in July and see what percentage we're at. You can't make goals that you can't really measure. There's no really point to that. So make sure it's something that either your platform or OneView allows you to look at once you get to your deadline. A, achievable. I am all for shooting for the stars when it comes to social media and trying all these crazy things, but you want to make sure it's achievable. A lot of you probably run the social media or you work directly with it and you've got to report to somebody else about how it's performing. You don't want to say, hey, we've got 10 followers. We're going to increase our followers by 75% in 7 months. It's most likely not going to happen. And when you don't get there, it's going to look bad, right? So making sure that your goals are achievable. So when you get there, it looks great. Or when you're close, you're like, hey, we're almost there. We're on the right track. R, relevant. This is really important to your goals, like I said, to relate back to your business objectives. If you are a property that's on the side of the highway and most of your guests are just people that stay for 1 night, 2 nights, they're just passing through, influencer partnerships may not be at the top of your goal list, right? That's more for properties that have a lot of following and they want big names to come there, families, whatever it may be. If that goal doesn't really relate to what your business objectives are, just don't worry about it. Make sure your goals make sense for your property. Time bound. This is really, really important because we could have this goal of increased Facebook followers by 25% and stop there, right? If we have no deadline, when are we going to go back and check? How are we going to know what our growth really is like? How are we going to know if we have to pivot strategies? So just make sure that you put a deadline. For the most part, people will do the beginning of the year to July to the end of the year, and then look at the whole year as a whole. So just keep that in mind. Take a screenshot of this if you want. This is really, really good information on how you can create these goals. But we have covered so much information in this presentation. I know it's a lot. Social media is a lot, right? It's recently become a full-time job for a lot of people. It's super important. If it wasn't, we wouldn't have these positions. We wouldn't offer this as a solution. But this is important. The audit's important. You have to go back to see how your stuff is performing, because if you don't, you're really just wasting your time. But I do want to reassure you that there is help out there. You don't have to do it all by yourself. That's why we exist. We are doing this right as I speak. As I go through this whole presentation, our team out there is running audits for all of our hotel partners. They're reworking their strategy for 2025. They're brainstorming content. We have an awesome social media team that creates the best content. We have teams that will connect with you regularly to see how it's performing, see how we can pivot if needed, how we can continue to grow your social media and make sure that it succeeds. So if you're interested in that, we would love to connect. I have my information here, my phone number, my email. If you don't prefer either of those, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to chat. But we want to help. We want to help our hotel partners with their social media because we know how important it is. We believe in it, and we believe that people can be successful on social media if they put the time and the effort into it. But with that in mind, I do also want to plug in our next webinar before we sign off, UnderstandingBooking.com's guest review score update, which is in December. So coming up pretty quickly, make sure you register for that event. Also, don't forget to follow and subscribe. We post a lot of great stuff on our LinkedIn and YouTube about social media, about review response, about all things hospitality. So make sure you connect with us there. Again, feel free to connect with me individually. But thank you so much for tuning in today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Have a great Thanksgiving. And thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.